this a secret? I know you like to keep it clean. No prying eyes to keep you honest. What do you hide when you hide with me? If you think you're clever, then you've never weathered anyone like me. I've been training all my life. Guess your numbers are bright, cause when she calls mine, I'm not gonna lie. Those pretty eyes, are you scared now? You can't erase all the things you've seen. Do you like my shows and all my monsters? Now you're my latest favorite thing. Do you wanna play misbehave? Say the ways you plan to hurt me, abuse and drain me dry. Now you wanna know if you'll make it out alive. Nah, I'm not gonna lie.
All right, let's get the show on the road. Hooah! Good evening, everyone. Hey, Phantom, 491 Phantom. It's good to see you. How are you doing? Feel like I should have gotten a whole bunch of tissues before I started the stream, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Welcome to the TTRPG Theater. I am your host, Rob, Phantom NJ. And today we're going to talk a bit about Founders and Legends in GaryCon, which was this past week. I was there for both. I was there the entire week. I was one of the unfortunate people who did come home with a case of con crud. Though, unlike last year, I did not come home with COVID. So, yay! Yeah, it was a fantastic week, though. It's really, really, really special time. Hey, Ultra Magnus, good to see you, sir. I know you had other travails coming home from GaryCon. Did you manage to escape the con crud at least? I'm not gonna lie, that kind of ruined my Sunday. I mean, it was excellent. Well, I mean, you went through enough stuff, so I'm kind of glad you at least escaped that part. Trollard Games, thank you for the raid, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. I am your host, Rob, Phantom NJ, and we are discussing Founders and Legends in GaryCon and the week that was. And you know something? Now that everyone's here, I really should be more on top of this, but let me get the giveaway. We are going to have a Trollard Games giveaway. It will be for a $10 digital coupon for the store. Now, one of these days, I will actually have a regular moderator who will be able to take care of some of the stuff for me. you can tell this is a, well-run, well-run organization we have here. And I say that completely tongue-in-cheek because I keep talking about getting organized, and I never do. So stuff like this happens. Let's see. I'm gonna copy that. All right. It is open, and I need to get the various chat commands and chat bots going, because those always help. Oh, okay, cool. It should be there. Yay. Excellent. And I see people already entered the giveaway. That is fantastic. So yeah, this past week was Founders and Legends and GaryCon. It was an incredible week, largely in part because of the fact that one, yeah, it is the 50th anniversary of the start of D&D. As all you Trollord fans know, there's also the 25th anniversary of Trollord Games and the 20th anniversary of Castles and Crusades. And I got to do a lot of old school gaming and a lot of Castles and Crusades gaming. I did run 3 Castles and Crusades game. Cannibal, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. I did run 3 Castles and Crusades games during GaryCon itself. I also ran one in the hallways, one of the nights. And while we're currently I just noticed that we are on an ad break. So I did want to mention, for those of you who are currently subscribed, that we are sponsored by Trollord Games, who allow us to do this fantastic giveaway. It's really nice to be able to do something for our, the people who are following and supporting this channel and supporting me. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. And just for those of you who are currently watching the ad, I'll kind of put something in the chat just to let you know. But yeah, it is an honor and privilege to be sponsored by Trollord Games and be able to have these giveaways and, be able to add a little bit more to this channel. So thank you for that. Thank you to the whole Trollord group. If someone could let me know if you guys are back yet, that would be helpful, because unfortunately I got the bot to tell me when the ad started. It doesn't tell me when it ends. Excellent. You're back. Fantastic. All right. So yeah, during GaryCon, I ran three scheduled games. I had 18 slots, six per game, and ended up with 19 players because one of the people in my campaign had dropped by and was hoping that he might be able to get a spot if somebody didn't show. There was a group that was running a little late. He ended up sitting down. We ended up playing with 7 players, so I actually had 19 people in 18 slots. Apparently I was doing really well because I was reading stories about some people who unfortunately had people not show up, and that's a shame. They do have a method for dropping your ticket if you're not able to make it, and I really hope that people would take advantage of that. It's because there are people who are looking for games. Tracy, I'm the Bean. That is what we're talking about. So let's get to it. Let's go start out with Founders and Legends. Founders and Legends. I got there that Friday. I took a mid-afternoon flight. Arrived at Founders and Legends the Friday evening. It was. I actually went and got a haircut while I was waiting. Checked into the hotel. I did stay at the Grand Geneva, which is where everything was taking place. I have some thoughts on that. They have apparently the block of rooms that they had for the Grand Geneva are on the far side of the hotel, or at least the group. Most of the people I know, we were down in building 2 or building 1. There are 2 other buildings, and they're all attached. I mean, you didn't have to walk outside. You walk one really, really long hallway between the buildings. But so I had to go from, the main building to 4, 3, to the end of 2. I could see building 1, just one room over from where I was. And building 1 is really small, and next is the vendor hall. So I was about 2 minutes away from the vendor hall, which ironically I did not spend nearly enough time in, but more on that later. I had talked about the fact that I knew a lot of people, and even last year I knew a lot of people who were going to GaryCon, and I knew it was going to be the same way this year, even more so. I mean, there were so many people that I was going to get the chance to either see again or actually finally meet in person for the first time, and it did not disappoint. I swear I took a step into the Grand Geneva from the parking lot after parking my car, suitcases in hand, and I immediately met no less than 3 people within the first 5 minutes that I knew. You had the room farthest away from everything except the vendor hall in building 1. Nice. Yeah. The secret that I learned, and because the first time, because I had never actually gone, I had done the walk from the main lobby to the vendor hall, the secret passage where they take you down. And I made the mistake of following the signs. And I followed the signs to try to get to my room. And it was the most god-awful series of going upstairs and downstairs and upstairs and downstairs ever. It made it seem like the room was a mile away. Thankfully I had 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 a bellhop bring my bags to me, because otherwise I would have been thoroughly miserable by the time I got to my room. Wanderer's Haven, good to see you. Welcome. We're talking some Founders and Legends and GaryCon recap. By the time I had gotten to my room and then come back and talking to other people, I was already, by the time Friday night was over, the con hadn't really even started yet, and I already knew 10 people there. Stephen Chenault was, interestingly enough, the last person I met. I came across him wandering the hallway, going back to my room at the end of the Friday night, and he was going I don't know where he was going, but he was going in the other direction. So that was kind of fun. He was also one of the first people I saw the next day. Like, Stephen, we got to stop running into each other like this. I got to go on an adventure. One thing that I did learn was there's an elevator right off the lobby in the Grand Geneva. And the secret, if you don't like having to go upstairs and downstairs, is you can take it to the second floor, there's the option, there's 2 doors on that elevator. Have it on the door, it's labeled R, so it's, I guess, the right or whatever, or rear might be. And this way, you can just keep going downstairs. You never have to go upstairs, just keep going downstairs. It seems so much straighter. On the way back, I just kept going downstairs until I reached the elevator, and then I took the elevator to whatever floor I needed to be. Downstairs all the way, straight shot, none of this going up and down, and the stairs kind of like loop around and such. It's just kind of crazy. Yep, it was definitely exploration part. My map let's just say my map making skills by the end of that were primo. I had this down cold. It was, though it did lead to a slightly interesting situation later, which we'll talk about. So yeah, that was a Friday night. Had a couple of drinks with people, and then went back to the room and just decompressed from the trip, because I knew it was going. This whole week was going to be a lot about seeing people and a lot about knowing when to take some time and reserve some energy, because it was going to take a lot. I guess I'm an extroverted introvert. I like hanging around people, but my social battery can get really, really drained if I'm going too hard. And, and it had been an exhausting time. That the trip there wasn't terrible, but it still takes something out of you. Dealing with Chicago O'Hare Airport is never much fun because, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of suitcases and you're trying to get to where you need to be and have to go up elevators, down elevators, and around halls, and finally get to your car. Nothing in particular bad happened this time. It was, the process was easy enough. It's just a lot, though. It really is. Needless to say, I am not in the best of shape. So, anyone who knows me knows physically, I am not in great shape. So any type of walking is going to take a bit out of me. Walking in, dealing with that kind of stuff is just going to be more. So, the Saturday came, and let's see, what was on the Saturday? The Saturday I had, I did play the Castles and Crusades game that Saturday, which was a lot of fun. I don't remember. I think Saturday was pretty straightforward. I played in a Castles and Crusades game, and I played in an AD&D 1E game, which was really interesting. The Castles and Crusades game was cool. The Castle Keeper was really good. Turned out it was his first time running a game at a con. He was apparently really happy to have me there because he had one more person who knew the rules, so could help the newer players. I also took the Illusionist because I would have felt bad if any of the other players had tried to play the Illusionist, and it went really well. We had a good time. Played an AD&D game where it was a guy who first ran the adventure that he had brought. He had written it and run it for like a Gen Con game when he was 14 years old. Back in 35 years ago or something like that. It held up remarkably well. It was a great session. So yeah, after day one, I'd played in a CNC game, I'd played an AD&D 1E game. Had some more drinks with people. It was great. The next day, I managed to sneak in to a Tharisden game being run by J. Scott, Lord Gazumba, which was a heck of a lot of fun. Mostly because of the fact that usually my games get scheduled around the same time as his. And I was in a place where I did not have a great internet connection when those tickets became available. And that game sold out quick. It was gone like almost immediately. And all of his games during GaryCon were scheduled at the same time as my session. So I had seen messages. I was on a waiting list for all of his sessions. I had seen messages for the other ones, and they always happened like when, 2 hours, I'd get the email 2 hours after this person had dropped, and it was always in full. So that morning, I didn't have anything scheduled until like that afternoon. So that morning, I decided I was going to have breakfast in the room. I was just going to camp my email. And sure enough, at 7 a.m., I got the notification that the game was available. Got showered and dressed really quickly, went down, played some more AD&D. Jay's game is a 43-year-old campaign. There's a lot of homebrew. We like to call it 1.J. It's a mix of 1E, 2E, and a lot of house rules and stuff that he's added from either his own stuff or from Dragon magazines or Dungeon magazines, wherever you can find inspiration. It was a great game. It was very combat oriented. I was happy to say my character survived. Got to play with a bunch of people I know. Got to play with Todd Stashwick, which was really, really cool. And then immediately after that was my afternoon session, the 1 o'clock session I was talking about, which was Tower of Gygax for the first time with Todd Stashwick. So yeah, it was, that was fun. I got to do 3 Tower of Gygax things, and Tower of Gygax, they were each 2-hour sessions that were being, they were AD&D 1E, that were being DM'd by a whole bunch of different, guest celebrity, DMs. Todd was one of them. I had Errol Otis, famed author of, famed artist of 1E and 2, especially 1E stuff, a very, very old school, old style, art for D&D. He was one of the DMs. And then I had Harold Johnson, who was an editor of a lot of the 1E books. And he also was one of the authors of the first edition module, Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-chan. Played the same character in all 3 times. I played a cleric, and I managed to survive all 3 sessions. As a matter of fact, 2 out of the 3 sessions, the entire party survived, and I'm the cleric, so I'm taking credit. You got to do what you got to do. If no one else is going to pat you on the back, you got to pat yourself on the back. We did have 3 characters die. I think it was 3 in Errol Otis's session. He sent a boulette after us, and I'm sorry, I can't heal a one shot. when the thing's going to do 40 points of damage to like a level 3, level 4 first edition character, I can't heal that. Sorry. I think some of the characters might have been level 5, but even so, 40 points of damage is going to kill most of them. If not one shot, it's going to be close. I did have another AD&D 1E session. I don't remember if it was Saturday. I don't remember if it was Sunday night or Monday night. That is the only session I played in where my character died. It was Alan Growy's Castle Greyhawk. It was another 1E session. And we came up against ghosts, and I didn't take any physical damage, but my character aged 75 years. And we had a roll at the beginning to find out what our character's max life was. And I think after like the 3rd ghost attack, I had gone past my character's max life span by about 15 years or something like that. So, it was an interesting scenario. Alan does a great job, and talk about guys who in the community who really know their stuff. He's really truly one of them. So, I was happy to get a chance to play the game. I wish this thing could have gone a little further, a little longer. But it is what it is. It's 1E, and like Castlinger says, 1E can be brutal at times. People die. Keith, Roger, good to see you, sir. Thank you for the subscription. 27 months. Wow, that is awesome. I really truly appreciate that. We do have a giveaway for a $10 PDF for Trollord Games. I believe it is !ticket to enter. We currently only have 5 entries, so if you have not yet entered, please do. The chances are really, really good right now. So yeah, that was, we had the 3, I took it kind of easy during Founders and Legends. I didn't run any games. I thought about it, and I was like, I just need a break. I want to hang out with some people, want to be able to spend some time with people. And I knew that GaryCon was coming later that week, and it was going to be a lot. I think by the time Founders and Legends ended, I had run into about 12 to 13 people that I knew. And we were only starting to scratch the surface. It might have been a little bit more. It's hard to remember. But Founders and Legends was cool. Here's the thing with Founders and Legends. I needed more. It was cool in the sense that getting to play games together is always cool. Getting to play games in person is always cool. But they didn't have a vendor hall. The vendor hall didn't open until GaryCon began. And to be honest with you, it was small enough that if you didn't see people wandering around with the name tags on, I question whether anyone would have realized that there was a convention going on. Because it wasn't crowded. Especially when you see what happens later in the week, it wasn't crowded at all. There were things to do. There were plenty of games to play. It wasn't a lack of that, but I don't know what I don't know exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe I was expecting a bit more of a celebration than there actually was. And I mean, I suppose it's possible that I missed stuff, but it just, the first day that I was there, like the first couple days I was there, it's like Ed Green was wandering around like the first day or two, and I know he was running stuff, so it wasn't that. And Tara Geig actually had the chance of coming in and seeing playing with various guest people. I don't know. It just felt like there was something missing in the way it was presented, and the way they made use of the various legends and celebrities and such. I think I needed them to be more present somehow. I don't know how best they could have done it, and from the outside, it's hard to tell exactly how many. I don't know for certain how many different sessions they were running. I heard Errol Otis was running like every third Tower of Gygax session, which is cool. It's great, but it was it felt like an appetizer, but it was a very expensive appetizer. Yeah, Heather, I kind of agree with that. You know, if I didn't, I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew, and Obsidian Risk Scott was one of the people that I got to see at Founders and Legends, which was excellent. I'm glad I was able to do that. Scott, it was nice to see you again. And there was that. There is also the fact that there are like two other cons going around the same time, which makes things really rough. Even if a place was big enough, they're getting spread thin. They might have people at two different conventions at the same time, because like Adepticon was the same week. So I think it overlapped more with GaryCon than it did Founders. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think if I hadn't known so many people and been able to spend time with so many people that I knew, I think I really would have been disappointed in Founders and Legends. I hate to say it, but yeah, there's that, and staying at the Grand was cool, but it's not cheap, even the block, and then the fact that I wish they had, and I know it was difficult to do, but they had a block price for Founders, they had a block price for as far as GaryCon at the Grand, and then had to pay full price for the 2 days in between, 2 nights in between, and that was costly. I'm just really, really glad that the Grand was able to make it so that I didn't have to switch rooms. It was really confusing, kind of quasi getting checked out and then checked back in each during each of those periods, but I never had to go get new room keys or anything. My room key stayed active. It was just weird that I would see a bill coming up, and then 2 days later I'd get another bill, and then the one at the end of GaryCon. I don't know. It's one of those things where if they do it again next year, I don't think they're going to do it again next year. I honestly really hope they don't. I would prefer that they just extend GaryCon by a day. Have GaryCon extend by a day, maybe fill it with some more activities. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. It just really was kind of strange. Because it struck me, I'm looking at all the posters on the wall, and all the posters on the wall are all for GaryCon. Not again until the 75th. Well, great. Oh man, I'm going to be the here's hoping I'm around for that one, and I'll be the wizened old man in the wandering around, looking at all the kids playing. That'll be me for the 75th. Oh boy. Yeah, so like the 2 days in between was like trying to figure out stuff. I honestly don't remember what I did that Tuesday. the Tuesday after Founders and Legends. Um, I I I, I know I did something. I know I know I spent a lot of time in the room, but I remember coming out of the room for something. I might have come around to go get food with somebody or something. I don't remember what the hell I did. Or I might hell, you know something. I might have spent the entire day in the room. I don't remember. Kind of weird. I was just like trying to conserve energy, rest up, and so on. Ah, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, like I said, I got to play in Jay's game once, and that's cool. I mean, I played in Jay's game online, which is always a blast. But I only got to do it once at Founders and Legends, and I'm happy. You know, I'm happy with that. It was enough to be able to do it once. Um, the Wednesday, I know Wednesday, I did not come out of my room. Uh, and it was a conscious choice not to come out of my room until it was time to go pick up my stuff for GaryCon. You know, I made sure that I did everything that I could to get some rest and relaxation because I knew GaryCon was going to be a big thing, and sure enough, there was. I had got my swag bags. Listen, I had initially intended to like show off the various swag that I had received for GaryCon. The con crud that got me, you know, very, very late, beat the hell out of me this week. So I did not get myself organized. There's a bunch of different things. I'm amused by the fact that the Trollard games had included the 5e version of Lost City of Gaxmore. Uh, that was I had to laugh because I mean hell, you know, giving away the book, a book that Luke helped write, and you know Luke and his brother Ernie both wrote at the same time at a convention celebrating the 50th anniversary of D&D and such. Yeah, the 5e version of it, like I'll never use it, but it'll look good on my shelf, and you know maybe I'll find somebody who wants to do it someday. I'm not sure. 5e is not for me. I've got my reasons. I don't, you know, I'm not one to yuck anyone else's yum. It's just no longer a game that I have much interest in. I've got for that kind of type of thing. I've got other games I prefer to play. Pathfinder 2e kind of fits that same mold, but you know, I much prefer the system. GaryCon. So GaryCon that Thursday, I started off that Thursday morning. I had my morning session, and it was a fun 9 o'clock. My first session was at 9 a.m. in Evergreen 3. You know, made the trek up, got there in time, got myself set up. It was very cool because it was a game that I knew 5 out of the 6 players. I didn't realize I knew one of the players ahead of time until he sat down. I had two Trollard game stalwarts, Ultra Magnus George. I'm not sure if you're still here, and I also had Pawn Dream from the Trollard Discord in my game, which was really interesting because Pawn was the first person to actually run a Castle and Crusades game for me. I had asked for some help, someone to run a game, just so I could familiarize myself with how the game felt, how it ran and such before I ran it for other people. And Pawn was nice enough to run I think it might have been like a 2 or 3 hour scenario, where it might have only been like 2 hours. It wasn't all that long, if I remember correctly. But it was for me and like 1 or 2 other people that we played. So, and I got, I got to run a game for him, and finally got to run a game for George as well, which was really, really fantastic. Plus 3 other people that I know from the Greyhawk community. And I had my first kind of moment while we were running. A woman sat down. She introduced herself, and I had asked, and one of the first things out of her mouth was the fact that she was really, really, really nervous, and could had bouts of anxiety and such, and I'm very sensitive to stuff like that because I've known what it's like to get anxiety, especially when you're around other people you don't know. I was a little doubly worried because it was going to be quickly apparent that she was the only person at the table who didn't know me. And a lot of the people already knew each other. And I also know what it is to be that person when you're the only person at the table that is brand new. Thankfully, she settled right in. Seemed like she had a great time. Did a lot of role playing. The entire table did a bunch of role playing. It was great. So my fears were allayed really, really. Thankfully, as soon as we got going, it was like nothing. It was like nothing had ever been mentioned. So I was kind of thankful for that. She was fantastic. The group was fantastic. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. And the group completed pretty much all of their objectives, which was great to see. Didn't do much after that. Thursday, I believe Thursday, I briefly was like looking in on what other people were doing. I know I went out to lunch on Thursday with a couple of people. I did a bunch of lunches with people. I know that much. I don't remember which lunch was with but some of it was hanging out with people I knew. Some of it was getting to see people that I didn't, I knew online, but hadn't seen in person yet for the first time. So, lunches were really, really key, especially since I was finishing up my sessions at 1:00. And, then for Thursday, it was a matter of not, basically relaxing. Thursday night, got to get together with a bunch of people that I knew and some who I was seeing for the first time, and ran another game of Castle Crusades in the hallways that night, which was a lot of fun. It was one of those games where it kind of got thrown together, not quite at the last minute, but close, and close enough to the fact that I was like writing pre-gens in between my 1:00 game and, in between the time my game ended at 1:00 and then got back to my room at like 3 and the 7:00 when, we were all getting together. I had started throwing some together to the night before, but I was kind of exhausted. So yeah, it was, we were supposed to have one more person. And if one more person had shown up, I would have had to have had them like roll up the character from scratch right there. And that would have been something. But had a fun adventure, had them going looking for alcohol. Always makes for, a good con adventure. Alcohol's in danger. Go save the alcohol. And they did it magnificently. A big kudos to the people from Guild Superior. If you're not familiar with Guild Superior, I highly recommend giving them a follow. And let me see if this is working. There we go. Yes, there we go. DM Dave and his crew, they do a fantastic job. They do have a Greyhawk game running. We would get together again later in the week for a very, very different game, sort of, in terms of tone anyway. So that was Thursday. Friday was my rather quiet day. Friday I did my 9:00 game again. It went really well. Friday was the game that I had, was supposed to have 6 players and ended up with 7, because one of my people had gone on a wait list and forgot to check, had a chance to buy a ticket and forgot to check it out and missed the chance. So he ended up coming in anyway because we had a couple of people who looked like they were going to be late because we ended up getting some snow at GaryCon. Shocking. Did slow people just a little bit. But the Saturday session, it was really cool because along with that, we had a family. It was a husband and wife, their daughter, and their son-in-law playing. So that was a lot of fun, especially the mother and daughter's characters conspiring with each other. made for an interesting time. So that was a great, that was another great session. Had a fantastic time. We, generally speaking, I mean, I ran 3 games and I loved all my groups. They were just so much fun to run with. I don't remember what I did Friday afternoon. I know Friday night I kind of just vegetated. I didn't do much Friday. I think I might have briefly come out of my room. I was like, you know something? Saturday was going to be a long day. I knew Saturday was going to be a long day, and I was like, after I decided to go back to my room, whatever time it was, it might not have been until like 4 o'clock. I knew I wasn't coming back out again, unless there was a thing going on. Now, somewhere in the middle of all this, I don't remember when it happened. For all I know, it could have been the Wednesday night after check-in. I did end up on Lord Gazumba's stream. He was doing a stream talking about GaryCon, and I did end up on a stream. He had rotated people throughout it, and I did end up with sitting amongst the troll lords. I had Davis to my left, I had Chuck to my right, and Steven was also to my left. Lord Gazumba, Jay, thank you so much. Subscription 7 months in a row. Really, really appreciate it, sir. Just talking about the appearance at GaryCon. And I'm trying to remember what day that actually was, but it doesn't matter. All I know, it was a great stream. We had, he rotated through a whole bunch of different people, giving different perspectives, and made for a great time. Always good to be able to talk some CNC. Sounds good, Jay. We will see you in a little bit. It won't be all that much longer. Then came Saturday. Saturday was something else. First of all, I had my Saturday morning game, and by this time I'm starting to feel a little bit. I've been going even with the resting. I don't necessarily do well in hotel bedrooms. I find it hard to get comfortable in strange beds, and especially when your face kind of like sinks directly into the pillow, and like, all right, I don't want to be suffocating and stuff like that. Trying to just try comfortable, but I thought I had been doing a reasonably good job, but I was still starting to feel it. Saturday came, and in retrospect, my busiest day. Karen, so good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for dropping in. I am sorry I was not able to make it to your stream. I saw that you were streaming, and this has been a week where between getting con crud and just trying to catch up from being out for a week has made life a little difficult. I do need to catch up with you a bit, but thank you for dropping in. Oh boy, 4 a.m. Yeah, no, we did. So that's, Chaos Works. That's a fantastic idea. But if I had brought my own pillow, I would have had to have left my pillow there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, things got a little out of control. Oh, Friday. I know what I did Friday. Friday, I had also gone down to visit somebody I knew in the vendor hall. I had just gotten back to my room, and a friend in the community let me know that they were down in the vendor hall and wanted to catch up. So I went down there and spoke for a while, which was really cool. They were supposed to have played in my game on no, actually that was that on Thursday? Oh dear God. I really have lost track of space, time, and everything else. Never mind. Friday, I think I really did just go back to the room and relax after everything. So Saturday, had my game at 9 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, I had all of, I managed to, my Saturday game actually finished up a little early. They completed all their objectives. They actually kind of worked through their enemies rather methodically, which was cool. Especially considering the fact that I threw one more combat at them than I had the other groups. So they made really great use of stuff, and just kind of helped things move along really quick. So I had to run back to my room because at 2:00 I had the game with Stefan Picorni, and Heather, I know you had mentioned the fact that you played in one of Stefan's games. I got to play in the Saturday game. I also had to figure out where the Saturday game was because the description mentioned being like the Valoran outpost, but nowhere on any of the stuff that I had did it show where the Valoran outpost was. It did mention room 6102, and I finally found out that got confirmation that yes, that was building 6. So I had to go past where all the I had to go from one end all the way back over, going to the suite. Now the funny thing was, I was like running past, and if it wasn't for the fact that there was a whole bunch of people outside the suite waiting to be let in, I would have gone right past it because I was like looking at numbers, like, all right, I think I know what it is. I know it's reversed. I'm on the other side of the thing. I know it should be like the first room here. No, it's in the hallway right along the stairs. And thankfully I just happened to ask somebody, and they're like, oh no, you're here. Stefan's game was awesome. It was a lot of fun. We had a great crew. We had a big party. I don't remember how many people there were. I think this was like signups for 8 people, and I think we might have had 2 additional people. I do have pictures of the setup. Stefan, for those of you who don't know him, is responsible for Dwarven Forge, and the Dwarven Forge setup that he had with him did not disappoint at all. Dungeons and dad jokes. There were definitely some dad jokes. We had some dad jokes going on for sure. That much I know. Especially because there was the father-daughter there, which was a lot of fun. We had a really, really interesting group of people. Only half of the party survived. My favorite part is the fact that we had, yes, Eric and Erica, I believe it. Yep, that would be them. They were sitting directly. Erica was sitting, or they were sitting directly across from me, on the other side of the table. They had somebody who was supposed to be playing as a henchman carrying. Oh, okay, all right. You know something? Thank you. I need to go add them, or go follow them on TikTok. Not now, but I need to go add them. They had someone come in who was running a little late, come in to play and carry our like torches and various things for us. And that character ended up dying no more than 5 minutes entering the thing due to a trap. The character literally got sliced in half. And I'm playing the cleric, and they're like, well, can you do anything about that? I was like, well, I can animate dead. Anyone got a sewing kit? Like, you get a sewing kit, put them together, I'll animate them. It's like not going to be alive, but we can have some fun with it. Sadly, no one thought to have a sewing kit. People were buying equipment, but no one thought to buy a sewing kit. So that went by the wayside. We did manage to kill a small dragon via the same trap that killed the poor young henchman. We did end up losing half the party, though. Some of them got roasted. Some died to traps. One went off on her own and ended up dying. Not an intellect devourer, but has the same general look of a creature, and ended up dying. And And it was a lot of fun. We were up for it. If the character died, everybody was cheering. If the character lived, epic roll, everybody was cheering. It was just a really, really, really good time. We did get to the end. We did manage five. I think there were five of us surviving that managed to complete the adventure. And so it was a great time. Stefan was fantastic. We took they took pictures. I got to figure out where they posted the pictures because I haven't seen them yet. They haven't posted them to like the GaryCon Facebook page, so I don't know if they have like their own page where they're posting these things. I want to see them because they posted a picture of the survivors and the dearly departed, and then a group picture of us all together. I've got pictures of the train as we progress through it in my Discord. There should be a specific channel for those photos if you want to check it out. We do. I should mention that on our Discord we have. It's kind of we're kind of trying to figure out a new time and day for it. But we do have been doing Friday Night Crusades where it's an open Castles and Crusades games on Friday nights at 8 p.m. We may be switching the day around a bit, or we're going to find a new castle keeper because our current castle keeper got himself a new job, which has made which has made the timing of the game a little rough. So we're going to see what we can do. We will keep it open somehow, some way. We're just not entirely sure yet what direction they're going in. But if you're interested, please join the Discord and enjoy the conversations and such. We like talking to people about D&D, Castle Crusades, fantasy stuff, whatever the case may be, conventions. So yeah, there was that, and then because the night could not end there, ended up playing with the Guild Superior group again in the hallway, and we were playing Shadowdark. Shadowdark was kind of like the unspoken star of GaryCon, I feel, or at least Kelsey. I think Kelsey Dion is her name, or their name. I remember when Kelsey last year for GaryCon was giving away the starter kits for it in the hallway, and was willing to talk about talk about it to anyone. This year, apparently they sold out of whatever copies of Shadowdark. I know a few people managed to snag copies. She did very, very, very nice, and it feels kind of good knowing that somebody who is nice and did the work and was basically the year before just basically sitting there talking to all comers. She sat in that hallway outside like Evergreen 3 or whichever room it was last year, and was talking to anyone who would come up. I know she signed a whole lot of books. The one trip I made to the vendor hall, there was a line on one side, and it was all, I was wondering, like, if, I didn't think it was the artist side. No, it turned out people were going there to get their Shadowdark book signed by her, which was really, really neat to see. Dave from Guild Superior ran a Shadowdark game for a bunch of us. It's entirely possible. I'm not confirming nor denying. It's entirely possible that half the party turned into werewolves and ate the villagers that they were supposed to be there to protect and save. Might have eaten each other as well, possibly. Shadowdark is very, very well named. It is dark. There's Dave, because apparently he decided the game wasn't necessarily dark enough. I think he added an extra component to it because he wants to use it for a Ravenloft type adventure, which I'm looking forward to because I know Dave will do it well. But yeah, I like the concept. I don't know yet how it works for a long-term campaign. mostly because of how dark it is. I'd have to see. I reserve judgment on that. I don't want to base anything just on one session. And let's put it this way: when Dave runs a one shot, you're normally probably there's a good chance people are going to die. It's a fun thing. We did play a game of Mothership together, and he promised us our characters were going to die right off the bat and just make it epic. So we were figuring the same thing was going to happen here. I ended up not getting the books because by the time that session happened and I decided I kind of liked it, the books were already sold out. So I'll pick them up at some point. But that went a few hours. That went into the night. Had a conversation after that. Yeah, we had a few drinks. Somebody might have brought a bottle of whiskey. We might have had some shots of whiskey to go with some beers, and eating basically crap food all day because I had no time to get real food on Saturday. I was basically running from one place to the next. Met a couple people at the bar, talked a bit, knowing it was going to be the last night. I was probably going to get to see him. At this point, I had already canceled my Sunday game. It was being run by a friend of mine, Scott, also known as Wiley Hobbit. Mostly for two reasons. One, when I first signed up for the game, I wanted to make sure that he had to sign up and get the ball rolling on that. This was he had been to GaryCon before, but this was his first time running games there. And he had a great time running. Everything I've heard sounds like he had a great time running games. The table did fill up. We did have somebody on the waiting list, and I told him, I was like, listen, I did not think this through. I got to see Jingo. Alex, I did get to see Jingo. I did not get to play in any of his games. I initially, if it wasn't for Scott's game, I would have signed up for Jingo's game that day, because I know he was running one on Sunday as well. But I just realized at the time that between the, what it was going to take to pack, get my stuff to my car, get checked out, get ready and everything else, and still make it to Scott's game on time. And then, the process of getting out of there, I was going to be beat to hell. And this ended up being a good thing because the con crud hit me overnight. I was fine. I felt fine Saturday night. In Sunday, that's good to know. Sunday morning, I woke up feeling like hell. I probably started coughing somewhere in the middle of the night. And then Sunday morning, it hit. I had, had congestion and cough. Had congestion and a cough. Had a lightheaded feeling. Was not really doing well. It hit me, overnight. So I basically extended my time. I was supposed to go. I had decided that instead of going to Scott's game, I was going to have breakfast. I was going to make a slow move to get everything into my car. And since my car was right by the vendor hall, once I had my car packed, I was going to go down to the vendor hall, go through, try to pick up some stuff. I never made it. I ended up doing a late checkout, ended up getting out of there at 11:30, putting my stuff in the car. I looked at the vendor hall and I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to go around the vendor hall getting anybody else sick. Not only that, even if I didn't have to worry about getting anyone else sick, I don't know that it would have been a good idea to me wander. So I made the drive back. This way I could make the drive back, take my time, take it easy, and not have to rush through the airport, which I think made all the difference in the world. I had a mask on the entire time. The one thing I think about O'Hare, at least flying back to Newark, was the fact that I've got TSA pre-check, so going through that is easy enough. And then my gate is on the other side of the security. I don't have to wander anywhere. It's like, go through security. There's the gate. Done. Nice. and I got to basically sit down and relax for a couple of hours before my flight. Had gotten a car service to pick me up at the airport. The ride home, didn't have to do anything, and had Monday off where I had lots of plans to like unpack, get stuff done, whatever. And yeah, did none of that. But that was GaryCon. Again, GaryCon, there was some 60 to 70 people that I knew at GaryCon. I'm trying to figure out who I missed. I bet, Taryn. Of airports to fly into, as long as everything goes fine with the flight, it's a great airport to fly into. Just because there's no 5-hour walk for your baggage. It is easy as hell to get from your plane to your baggage to your car or to your car service or however it is you're going. They make it so much easier compared to all the other airports. Yeah, Heather, I'm sure we did. I let's put it this way. For me, the weirdest thing for me, and I mentioned being an extroverted introvert. It is so weird being in a convention like that, having a name as common as my name is. My name is Rob. I mean, it's about, it's not quite John or Mike or something like that, but Rob is a really, really thing. Being in a convention in a crowded room, hearing Rob called out and knowing that there's a really good chance that they are calling me is bizarre. But sure enough, I did see the Captain Marvel jacket. Actually, I've seen a couple of pictures with the Captain Marvel jacket. Damn it. Oh, man. I wish I had known. And I might have, and to be honest with you, it's entirely possible I did know and forgot. Because if you had mentioned, I think you might have mentioned beforehand that you were going to do that. So I apologize for not coming up and saying hello and forgetting. I did have someone. One of the interesting things was I even had someone who showed up in my stream the day before Founders and Legends. I did a stream, the Thursday night before Founders and Legends. New person to the stream, and just happened to mention that she was going to GaryCon, and sure enough, she found me there. So it's like, yeah, I'm having a conversation with somebody who knows me from my stream. I like this. This is just weird to me. It's like, okay, all right, this is cool. I can understand that. Oh man. But yeah, I had, and there are people that I got to spend. I had to make choices at times with regards to saving energy versus spending more time with people I want to spend more time to. I still think I did a better job of it this year than I did last year. Last year, I don't feel like I did a good enough job hanging with people that I wanted to. And I think it had as much to do with the fact that my games were kind of a bit more spread out. They weren't all 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock games. I had a couple that were a little later, so I was not quite on other people's schedules. But this year, I had a did a really good thing with. There's a few that I got to say hello to, had brief conversations. Did not get to have an extended conversation with, and I'm glad I at least got to say hello. There are some people that I was not expecting to get as much FaceTime with as I did. Garner Andrews had ran into him like every 5 minutes, which was kind of funny. Scottish Jeff is another person who I spent a whole bunch of time talking to. I mean, there's a lot of people in the community. It was really, really cool. I never knew who I was going to get to spend as much time with as I did. Yeah, about that. All right. All right. We are at the 7:32 mark. Let's take a look. We've got 6 entrants for the giveaway. Exclamation point ticket to enter. It is a $10 gift certificate for any digital product from the Troller Games store. And I will be closing that. Let's call it at 7:34 my time, so a little less than a minute. Again, exclamation point ticket to enter. Please enter. You know, it's really cool that they do that. You have too many gift cards to TLG right now. I feel that pain. I went down the one time I did go down. I had the $15 or 15% gift coupon or whatever that they were given to DMs and players who were playing a Castle Crusades game. And I had nothing to use it on because I had everything that they were selling at the store, not the store, at the vendor booth at GaryCon. They need more stuff. So many good things there, but I own it all. All right, so we got 7. Nice, excellent. Time elapsed is all right. We got 20 seconds to go. After I do this, we are going to be raiding into Lord Gazumba. You should see take him up on it. I've got actually that was one of the cool things. I now have 4 Castle and Crusades t-shirts. I've got one in gray, which was the first one the light gray, first one that I got. I bought 2 from the web store, the olive green and the reddish one. And they were giving out for the Castle Keepers, they were giving out one in blue. So now I have a blue one. So I've got my set. All right, closing out the giveaway now. And let's draw a winner. Eat to Surf. All right, excellent. I will get with you in order for the giveaway. Eat to Surf, I know, has been one of the people following me almost from the beginning. Yeah. You blocks ads? You blocks the Twitch ads? That is good to know. I am going to need to consider that. All right. That is fantastic. I think we're at about the point where we should be getting ready for the stream to resume from the ads. But let's do this. Someone give me a word to let me know if we are back yet. I want to thank everyone. Excellent. I want to thank everyone for hanging out tonight. I want to thank you've all been fantastic with the chatting. It's been nice to have the chat scrolling by. I want to thank Troller Games for their sponsorship and for the raid. All the wonderful conversation, the follows, the subs. It's really, really cool to see. And please, I will be back next week. I haven't decided what we're going to be talking about yet. Consider joining the Discord. I'm always looking for people to give ideas as far as what to talk about next. And that's a great place to do it. Or you can hit me up in DMs and whatever platform you follow me on. Always looking for figuring out, give the people what they want. I'm all about that. Anyway, get your whatever raid emotes you have ready. And we are raiding Lord Gazumba in 3, 2, 1. See you on the flip side.